Good evening, folks. Good to see so many people joining us so quickly. I apologize for the few minutes delay. It's been, oh God, when was the last time we did one of these, Laura?
November with
November. And
Roma.
in that, what, 4 or 5 month intervening period, we've forgotten everything we previously knew about how to set up a webinar, despite the fact that we've been doing other webinars this entire time as well. So good to see so many of you. We'll have a few more people sort of coming in and out as we proceed. If you don't know who I am, I usually don't have a massive lump on my forehead from mosquito bites. I usually do look pretty normal. My name is Anthony Bailey-Grice. I'm the Managing Director of LMPG. Joined tonight by my glamorous assistant, Laura, LMPG. No last name.
Hi everyone. I'll take that introduction.
All right, well, it's the best you're going to get. Laura's going to be monitoring the chat. So if you do have questions throughout the night, we've got a chat box, which I struggled to find earlier on, but hopefully you'll find it a little bit easier. I'll type something in now. It's right here. Oh, waiting room participants. Here we go. Send to everyone. Make sure you send it to everyone, otherwise it will just send it to the host, which is me. Laura's going to be monitoring that. If we've got something that's a particularly relevant question to something that Guillaume's talking about, then we'll ask it at the time. Otherwise, we'll do a Q&A session at the end for more general kind of questions. So thank you for joining us. Welcome. In case you've not noticed already, you might have got a something coming in as you joined. This webinar is being recorded. Now, what that means is that we're going to be posting this on the LMPG website after today. And if you've got your video showing, if you've not got your video showing, it's just your name, and you don't want to be in the recording, now's the time to turn it off or anonymize it or anything else. Or if you do want to have your beautiful face on here, then now's the time to jump out. I don't mind either way. It's nice to see some faces, but I can understand why others might not want to do that. Tonight we've got Guillaume from Property Filter joining us. We wanted to start this new series out with a bang. So we decided to go with probably one of the most talked about businesses in property at the minute. I first heard about Property Filter about a year ago, maybe 18 months ago. When there were a lot of these, I guess, deal sourcing platforms starting to appear across the horizon, and I couldn't really tell one from the other. But very quickly, Property Filter started to stand out as the one that everyone was recommending, the one that everyone was talking about, and we've had a little play with it at LMPG HQ as well a couple of months ago when we were kind of testing the market. And I can say now with some level of sureness that the thing is an absolute dream to use. We've saved thousands of pounds on a couple of deals ourselves, and as you can probably already tell from the beginning of this meeting, we are not the most technically minded of folks. So my prediction tonight is that everyone from this is going to go, well, this is fantastic. I'm signing up to the 14-day free trial immediately. My advice to you is to not do that, because we've got a bit of a special offer for LMPG members. Have we launched the page yet, Laura?
No.
No, and we're going to be launching the page for this. Laura's going to be beavering away doing that while Guillaume is talking. So I'm sure that there'll be links and everything else at the end of this, but it'll also be on the LMPG website, and we'll do a full-scale launch afterwards. But without further ado, without me rambling on any further, Guillaume, are you about ready to go?
Yeah, Anthony, thank you so much. And sorry, my sound is maybe a bit low, but hopefully with a little volume up, it can work at your end, if that works.
You're coming through pretty clear, pretty clear.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've tried fiddling with a few things, but hopefully that works very well. So yeah, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Anthony, Laura. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's really great to be partnering with LNPG. I've been a member of LNPG for many years now, and they really helped me with lots of things, and they are really, genuinely good folks. So it's been great to see them do really well with Property Filter, find some good deals, and now great to be sharing the love with you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to share a few slides. It's only going to be quick, just to explain a little bit where things are at. And then I'll move into a demo, and then we've got nothing to sell. Is really, I want you to try it out for free, basically, and that's kind of the the deal we've got for you tonight. So let me go into presentation mode, and we are ready to go. So thanks so much. Let's go. Sorry, I should be the tech guy here, but sorry, it is. Right, can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Awesome, thanks so much. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about tonight is how can you find more deals, in less time. So Property Filter is an online platform all about finding motivated sellers, all about doing deals. We've grown to 1,400 plus members at the time of recording this up around the country, and we get phone calls every day, really, from our members because they find their first deal, their 30th deal, or indeed, their third deal, or indeed their 30th deal. So it's a very active community, and everybody's is getting results. So this is really for you if you are expanding as a landlord. So if you are growing a portfolio, if you want to buy more, this is really going to accelerate your growth. And it's been great to work with so many of you guys. So the idea today is I'm going to share everything with you about all the tools, the methodology, the frameworks, and the blueprints we use so that you'll get an unlimited deal flow of motivated sellers. So imagine, you had Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, prime location, all property related stuff, all under one roof. And that's really what we've done here with Property Filter. So the idea is we match and merge all property related data all in one place. But we layer on top of that a methodology, a blueprint, really all about finding motivated sellers, all about finding deals. And the good news is that this works for every strategy. So if you're into converting HMOs, you can set up filters to look for those large properties that need a refurb, that sit outside an Article 4 area. And right now on the platform, there's more than 17,000. If you're looking for existing HMOs inside Article 4 areas, there's right now 1,700. And these could be HMOs that are underdeveloped. Maybe you can add a room or two. Maybe you can crank the rent up. Maybe with the refurb, etc. And this is where you get really good commercial valuation and exits. Plenty of projects. So we all landlord investors, we all like a good refurb. So there's plenty, almost 30,000 flips or BRR. So yeah, plenty of these properties are identified. Lease options is something we see work really well since the beginning of this year. So the market has really changed, and we see more and more people doing quite well with these. So we look for properties in potential negative equity. We match properties for sale as well as to rent. And when a property is for sale as well as to rent, the landlord basically is telling us that they are stubborn on the price, but they are happy to rent out in the meantime, which means they are prime for this conversation about agreeing on price now and leasing, renting out for a period of time. If you're in other parts of the country, in higher value area, so what we see people do quite well is 1 to 2 bed flat conversions, or 2 to 3. So, but 1 to 2 bed work really well around London and home counties. Really good strategy. Short leases, so lease extension. So you could use the data to avoid leasehold properties altogether. You could use the data to avoid short leases together, or you could use them to do what I like to call the buy, don't refurb, refinance, where you add a bit of a but you add some value by extending the lease with a paperwork exercise. So it doesn't have to be a refurb, involved, but you could be a mixture of both, where you refurb a flat, you turn them from 1 to 2 bed, and you extend the lease. This is where we see people pull all their money out in some really high value area in the country. So then rent to rent for those who are interested, and more and more commercial to resi as well. So we link in a similar way. We link to the commercial portals, and we find the ones that are the most motivated, and people do really well from these, especially in this current market. So, how is it that you are looking for deals right now? And what I'm about to share with you is actually how I used to look for deals when I first started in this country, and it would look like this. So, I would waste my time randomly, scrolling through the portals, randomly booking viewings based on the pictures, the layout. And then I would turn up at viewings where the vendor were not motivated. And week after week, I wouldn't get much in terms of deal flow. I wouldn't get much in terms of agreeing deals. And the truth is, I spent the first 18 months when I started, investing in property in this country, achieving very little, although I was doing sort of 5 to 10 viewings a week. And then I thought to myself, there's got to be a silver bullet. There's got to be a better way. And you go to the seminars, you buy the book, etc. And then you think to yourself, well, direct to vendor's got to be the way, right? And this is where, you know, I started to spend 700, 800, 900 pounds a month on letters and things like that that were just eating people, just qualified by the fact that they had a house, but nothing is telling them that they were motivated, never mind wanting to sell or doing a deal, you know. So we all want a direct to vendor deal. The reality, when we do direct to vendor, we all do direct to owner marketing. So this is basically sending letters to houses and no clues of them being, you know, motivated or wanting to do it. And if we want to be a little geeky about the data on this, so it took me a while, you know, it cost me thousands of pounds of letters and really poor quality phone calls from those people who might want to sell, to realize that there are 33 million properties in the country, roughly 1 million change hands every year. Out of this 1 million, 23%, so 230,000 are bought by investors. So when I do the ratio, 230,000 divided by 33 million, what I find is 0.7% chance. So when I'm randomly sending out letters to people because they have a big garden or because their house is derelict or something like that, I got 0.7% chance of them wanting, you know, to sell their house in the next 12 months. Never mind them being motivated, never mind them wanting to do a deal. But this is where I thought to myself, you know, none of these things work, you know, so we've got to do something else, you know. And really what I'm about to share with you is I really want to help you shift, you know, your energy away from being busy, doing the research and the admin, and actually putting your energy in things that work and actually makes you deals. So I speak at a lot of property events. So property networking, I've done 55 keynotes last week, and I meet last year, and I wish, or I don't wish, I meet a lot of investors, and it seems a lot of people, because they spend a lot of time on Rightmove, because they, you know, they do a lot of effort. You know, it's kind of, they think that it qualifies them as an investor. You know, I spend a lot of time on Rightmove, therefore I'm an investor. But it's confusing input and output, you know, activity and results. And a lot of people have learned to be, you know, trapped in this way where, in the main, we spend a lot of time on those portals, and I used to be the same, you know. So I sometimes have a bit of a laugh with what I speak with live rooms, because people have a bit of a smile when I tell them, you know, I know, you know, like Saturday night, bottle of wine, Rightmove, you know, let's, you know, this property porn thing, you know, like that it just doesn't get us anywhere. And if you watch it on your phone, you know, like if you check this on your phone, it's even worse, you know. And then what we do, and what I used to be, the situation I used to be is I would try to make the deal work, you know. So I would have multiple tabs, and I was trying to, you know, find some comparables. I have spreadsheets here and there, you know. And by the time I've done all that, you know, I'm running around with whatever time I've got left to do the things that actually makes money in property, you know, to actually be doing deals. And the idea with this piece of software is to front load all of this research and admin in a done for you manner, so that it goes straight to the motivated sellers. So that we view 10 times fewer properties, but, you know, the ones we view basically will yield 10 times more interesting conversations. And a lot of the admin, the research is done for us. You know, the due diligence is, you know, we find the full address of most properties, we find all the amenities around, we find a lot of information where we don't have to do this research, which means we've got our time back to actually start building a very healthy pipeline of deals. And really the bulk of our time is now focus on the activities that actually matter and makes the needle move, you know, in property. So that's speaking with vendors, positioning offers, you know, building rapport with agents, following up, all these things we need to do. But right now, you know, ain't nobody got time for that, you know, quite frankly. So we all tend to struggle with that. So this is how, you know, and following the methodology I'm about to share with you, our members have built a pipeline of 750 million worth of property in the last 12 months. These are all properties that are under offers and that they are following up on. So very briefly about myself. So you might have noticed I'm not quite from here. So I was born in France and I moved to this country in 2016. I was doing property since 2012. Bought some flats and did some barn conversions in France, but never really made much money from it, until I moved to this country in 2016. And in 2018, I really started to get interested in property because of all the reasons we like property here, you know, interest-only mortgages, by the ability to refinance, which we don't have in Europe, which means I can generate an initial, you know, immediate monthly cash flow. and then I can recycle my pot of money to do another deal and another deal. So I was really attracted with this, and but the truth is I really struggle. So this, I was working full time. I used to be an engineer. I used to build big bridges, and I was traveling quite a bit. So I was quite busy. So but I would be really committed to this property thing. I think I've been an LNPG member since back in 2018, 19. And what I would do is randomly scroll through the portals, randomly turn up at viewings, pushing a strategy on a property, like projecting a strategy I wanted to do on the property based on the pictures, the layout. And then I would turn up to 3, 5, 10 viewings over the weekend, only to speak with vendors who were not motivated, and week after week, I would delay my property career by another week, and then this lasted for the best part of 18 months, and in which part I was also spending lots of money on direct to vendor, and none of this didn't work. So this is where we took a bit of a step back and we thought, okay, what makes success in property, So if I have to summarize it at a very high level, finding the deal is the number one skill, no one's become exponentially successful in property without excelling at finding deals. So every success in property will be downstream from your ability to find good deals. And then what makes, how do we find those good deals, So, and I figured, from a lot of connection and speaking with lots of people doing quite well, and as an engineer being really obsessed about studying success and what makes these guys, more successful than me at the time. And it's really that, the deals are bought from motivated sellers. Property is a people business, and it's a numbers game. It's a people business because you want to find the deals from the motivated sellers. And then it's a numbers game. The deals will be in the follow-up. And so this is where we started to build a little piece of tech for ourselves. At the time, there was, it wasn't called Property Filter or anything. It was called the software, between us. And it was all about finding these motivated sellers, all about finding the deals. And just to share with you, so within a few weeks, basically, this is the first Property Filter deal, if you like, we found at the time. So was on the market with a few agents, reduced a couple of times, we had a couple of sales fall through. All the sign, the software was telling us that they were motivated. The asking price was at 250. We ended up buying it for 173. We turned this into a 6-bed HMO, and it was revalued at 420 almost 5 years ago now. And so, which means we created 100K worth of equity, and it's now cash flowing something north of £1,600. And we went on to do many of these deals, in a sort of cookie cutter fashion. And this is how I got, full time in property, and started to get some attention. So I was, and you might see behind me, so some of those industry awards. So I was recognized for being a property entrepreneur of the year in 2021. And I got deal of the year in 2022. And now, because we've seen so many deals go through the platform, I've been asked to be a judge at the Property Investor Awards from this year. And so we played with this for a few years. We built our portfolio. We did quite well in property, and then we were in property circles, and quite frankly, our property friends would ask to have less software, to have a bit of a play with it. And at that time, we were maybe a bit immature as entrepreneurs. We thought, well, build your own, this is our thing, so why don't you, build yours, And after a lot of nagging and me complaining, we probably gave it away to a good dozen of our friends, our property friends, and then they started to have similar results. We started to do really well, and then they started to share it with other people, and then people started to ask us to build more things. They gave us some feedback. And a little bit by accident, it grew to 250 members, and we've seen them done hundreds of deals. And this is where we realized we were sitting on actually something that could be quite impactful for the industry. So last year, we basically invested a lot into it. We became the highest rated platform to find deals. And we grew to now 1,400 members, and we've seen they've done more than 1,000 deals in the last year, which was awesome to do. So this is really changing the way people invest in property. So we work with a lot of educators. So I need to update these slides because we work with like 15 different educators. And chances are, if you're thinking of someone, we are working with them. And a big thing for us, we want to democratize, and make property investment more accessible to everybody. And also we want to level up this whole industry, so that I'm very big on working with these guys to make helping them make the courses better, so that successful students make successful courses, so everybody gets a deal, and so this has been the main way we've been sort of growing. And just to share a little bit with you, this year, so we've got £1 million product investment roadmap, and we are putting a lot into it. So really, we're just getting started. So potentially at the end, if you got some questions, I'm happy to share with you some of the stuff we're working on. So how, like as Anthony was saying just earlier, there's plenty of people who are gathering data about property out there, but why does this work? Like what makes this unique? It's really because the data is one thing, but I'm not particularly passionate about the data. We're property people, and we build this to get deals. We build this for ourselves, and we build a methodology we use, to get a very predictable, proven, and unique way, to access the deals. And the way it works is first of all, yes, if you want, you can access the data. You can play with all the analytics, heat maps, and different things to assess what strategy is going to work best in your area, and really understand postcode by postcode, property type by property type. All there is to look at if you want. But the data will only give you an average performance of an area. And the way I see it, it's I don't want to be an average investor. I want to buy above performing assets. And the way we do this is by engaging with motivated sellers. If you remember this sort of one of these big lessons learned, I shared earlier, property is a people business, and the best deals are bought from motivated sellers. So this is where you can use the software to where we set and forget our criteria, and it just brings us, the motivated seller leads. And then the next thing we struggle with, and we see a lot of people struggle, is that sometimes we find the pot at the end of the rainbow. We've got a deal in front of us, but we can't assess fast enough that a deal is a deal, or we could go and waste our time on a viewing where there's no deal to be made. So the idea is we want, the bottleneck of our operation before we had this was really around doing the due diligence. So this is where this is kind of done for us, where it finds the full address. We have the deal calculators, the comparables, everything is integrated there. So I pretty much know what a property is worth, and I can go and offer what's going to be worth for me. And ultimately, as I shared earlier, the deals are in the follow-up. So this is the last step, if you like, is we've got a kind of a CRM system, a pipeline, which is all linked with all the properties on the market. Everything is live, and the old follow-up system, so we can convert all these good leads into great deals. So how does it work? So this is like the strategy. And now if I were to share with you the tactic, like the day-to-day activities, and you see it's very simple. So these are basically the 6 steps that will help you, get an unlimited deal flow of motivated sellers. So we call this the filter fortune flywheel. And the way it works is you start by fixing your criteria. So long gone are the days where you'll open a tab to search for something, and then we might open another tab in another portal to search for the same thing, or override our search with all this thing. But by the time we start, there's no end with it. So the idea here is you set and forget your criteria, and then the system, the bots will go and hunt for you and bring you deals, that match this criteria. And I'll go through this in practice in just a minute. And I'll come back to these because these are really the activities, the day-to-day, the 5 minutes a day, one viewing a week, as we call it, that gets everybody a deal. So the next stage is really about identifying the most motivated sellers. So you'll see in your leads inbox, there are different categories where we find, we go straight to the motivated sellers. And this is where we do 10 times fewer viewings, or we send 10 times fewer letters. But we have 10 times more interesting conversations with vendors who actually want to do a deal. And then this is really where you get your time back. So in contrast, where your competition might be scrolling through pages and pages of properties on Rightmove, and then when they go back tomorrow, they'll be scrolling through the same pages and pages of the same properties. The idea here is, you locate which are the best leads. You take a decision on every lead. You save the things you want to work on, and you disregard what is worth nothing. And you don't have to memorize all of Rightmove and take this decision again and again. So this is really like the front end about finding the motivated sellers. Property is a people business, and now moving to the back end here with the property is a numbers game, all about the deals being in the follow-up, etc. So then the interface moves into more of a pipeline where every step of the pipeline is an action to take, and it's all about like at this stage we might do some due diligence, assess if a property is worth our time to go on a viewing. And then execution is everything. If it's worth viewing, it's worth offering. So the idea is we want to be super strategic with our time. We'll go and view the right, the best leads where they have more chances of doing a deal, and then we offer on everything. And then ultimately, the deals are going to be in the follow-up. So this is where we want to reconnect and never miss follow-up. And this is really the flywheel. And this is the idea. You can go you can go for it as much or as little as you want, and then with 5 minutes, even with 5 minutes a day, one viewing a week, like we see people do deals, so it can be as little effort as that. So without further ado, and because I feel like I've talked about it for enough, I'm gonna go into property filter and show you how this works. Can you see this? Can you see my new screen? Yeah. All right, awesome. So this is property filter. So this is what it looks like. So as I said before, we are investing quite a lot in the product. So right now, this is meant to be used on the computer. So if whether you are on Mac or PC or on laptop or whatever, I recommend use it on your computer. And we are building a mobile app, so you can then in the summer also use this on your phone and tablets. But in the meantime, I'd recommend only use this on your computer. And you recognize on the left here, so we've got the 4 steps of the deal blueprint where, it was all about defining all the gold mine area. So we can look at the analytics over here. And then we have everything here to engage with motivated sellers. Here, this is where we can do some of the due diligence. And then the pipeline is at the back end over here. So for the time we have today, and I really want to show you the exciting stuff. So this is really about how do we find the motivated sellers. And I'm going to show you the first 3 steps of the filter filter fortune flywheel, where we identify, we set and forget our criteria, we go straight to the motivated sellers, and then we start to take a decision on every deal. And I'll show you different tricks and things we can use for that. So imagine you had 3, 4, 5, 10 people on your team, working for you 24/7, bringing you deals that match your criteria. So every one of these blue cards is actually an AI empowered little bot that goes everywhere on the internet. It's the equivalent of having Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, Prime Location, all property portals you can think of. And then we set our criteria, and the criteria can be quite advanced. We can ask to look for properties based on, so for example, if I go in here, got the usual, price range, bedroom count, and things like that. We could look for things like, so here we're looking for only properties in potential negative equity, so for sale for less than what they last sold. But we could look at things based on how many reception rooms they got, what's the square meterage of the properties. So the HMO developers, they love this, because they say they go show me all the properties that are above 100 square meters, and then in terms of the planning constraints, they'll say show me those properties sitting outside or inside an Article 4 area. And if you're looking for refurbs, you can search properties by EPCs. So you can say, show me all the very poorly rated properties, etc., etc. So there's quite a lot in there, you can play with. But I would recommend, if you are new to this, don't worry too much. Go with like really broad criteria, and then you can always reduce it. So we have actually 44 available properties in this search. So I'm looking for any freehold property. Was it freehold? Any house in, so I've excluded the flats in the Liverpool area. And I'm looking for properties for sale for less than what they last sold. So all of these will have some form of a motivation or another, but I don't have time to go and do 44 viewings tomorrow. So the first port of call is going to be to work along this motivated seller banner over here, where amongst what's available, if I only do one thing today, is work with these 2 vendors here, where the sales fallen through, it came back on the market, and it was reduced. And this is what this looks like. So, and I'm going to blow this up so you can see it maybe from afar. So the blue line is the price history, and then the background is the availability status, where green's available, yellow here or amber is sold subject to contract, and then when green follows amber is where we see the sales fallen through and it came back on the market. So this guy bought this property actually just last year, and they're already trying to put it back on the market for less than what they paid for it. So it's really really interesting stuff. So could these people be motivated? And the answer is often yes. And the really good and cool news here is we've got the full address of the property. So for anything here, you can work with agents. I would recommend to work with agents. I personally believe that a bit like property, because property is a people business, and a bit like your projects, you work once, and then those relationship compound, and this is where when you buy a couple of complicated properties from a few agents, they will basically bring you more deals. It just compounds, and we see again, because we've studied success, people do quite well from this, So, but equally, you can't work with all agents. So with the full address over here, I'll show you how you can send the letters, etc. So that's kind of that's an example for Liverpool. We're looking for properties for sale for less than what they last sold. Let's go into Manchester. We're looking for properties for sale as well as to rent. And we have the same sort of inbox mechanism where amongst those 85 properties, what are the things we want to work on and look at today? So these are a couple of auction properties here. We can decide to include or exclude the auctions from here. So you might say, right, I don't want to see auctions, or I only want to see auctions because it's a strategy I'm looking at, etc., etc. So, and then the sort of search and results updates, and you see I got rid of these auction properties. So all of these properties are for sale as well as to rent. And I don't know, I just go after. So this came back on the market just 4 days ago. So I'm not saying this is maybe the deal of the year, but so this is interesting. So this was on the market since November. We had a sale agreed in April, and then very quickly it came back. Later it came back on the market. But what's really interesting is that prior to be listed with this one agent, it was actually listed with another agent over here, and they started at 525, and then it was delisted in October, just before these guys were instructed. So not only will this merge, like the current agents that are right now listing them to sell or actually to rent. So this is a really good, I don't know the area, but this would be a really good lease option for someone to move in, if it's as a house for me to live, actually, because it seems quite nice. And then this is where we have people who actually found their own house on this option. I think some of you guys at LNPG, you've made 6 figures discount on some of the deals you found for houses, for your families and stuff. So it's really really cool. So, and the real secret here is that you'll know more than the agent, because you can go back to this previous agent who lost the instruction when was that? Last October, and say, hey, are you still selling this property on number 149 School Lane, And because you give them the full address, they think that you've already been in touch with them, and they'll be like, no, I don't know. So it helps building this rapport, but because they've lost the instruction, they will want to justify themselves, So they'll go, oh well, they'll tell you everything that's wrong about the vendor, everything that's wrong about the property, the property this, the property that, the vendor this, the vendor that, and etc., etc. And then when you go back to the current agents, you know more than them. So it's just one use case, as we randomly find this one here, but there's really there are plenty. So there's another one. So this is a rental history. So you can see they put the rent up. And what's happened here? So you see it's been on the market since 2021, and it's been on and off for a period of time. So all of this gives you all the history. And then if you go and look on Rightmove, chances are it will only show you like the most recent time it's been on the market. So really like the full history like this. So that's really the idea. So your first port of call. So the idea with this, so if you remember, and I'm going to show you here, I've got the little flywheel. So we fix our criteria. So this is where we create those lead generators. Then I go straight to the motivated sellers. So when I set this one up, they work for me every day. Every day they'll go everywhere on the internet, and they'll fill my inbox. So let's go into leads, looking for HMO conversions. They'll fill my inbox with deals, that match my criteria. In this case, for this property here, we're looking for properties that are above 100 square meter that sit outside an Article 4 area. So if you want, we can move into the map view. And I think I had a broad area around Leeds and Bradford. And I said, show me all the properties that are 100 square meter plus that sit outside an Article 4 area. And as a rule of thumb, I know this will work well for HMO. So this is the article for area of Leeds, and I don't know if any one of you is in Leeds, but basically I've excluded this from my search results, and it's picking up the properties around. I can do this in York, in any area. You can see we've digitalized all of the article for area of the country. So I literally had someone go onto the council website, download all the PDF with all the red pen, the mark from the councils, and then I had someone in the office draw all of these polygons, to digitalize this and use it as a filter, because this is what we were doing. We were into HMOs. So 117 available properties, but my first port of call again are these properties where the sales fallen through, it came back on the market, and it was reduced. What this really means is that within minutes, you set your criteria, and like you've got a short list of properties you can go and potentially view, and you don't have to waste your time and feel like you have to go at the end of Rightmove because you've got this fear of missing out. Oh, but what if there's something else? What if there's something else? Everything is here, and everything is manageable. Like I've got, this is quite a broad area I've made around Leeds and Bradford here. But the idea is, if you go around 15 postcode, 20 postcode, you'll have 5, 10 properties in there you can immediately look at. And if you remember, the third step is all about locating the best leads. So this is where we want to look at look at our results, and then in there take a decision on every lead. So there might be things where, for example, just by looking at this picture, I can tell you, like, this is interesting. This might, it's quite cheap. It's quite cheap per square foot. By the way, the whole website can be turned into its price per square foot or price per square meter. Square foot or square meter. It's whatever currency you work with. I'm a new money. I'm a square meter guy, so I'll have a price per square meter, which is really cheap, and which tells me as an HMO developer, because I'm going to get this back to brick. There's an EPC-E. This is going to go back to brick. I'm going to do a good job of it, turn this into a 6-bed or something like that. As a developer, this is really interesting. So this is where we will take a decision. Say, okay, let's send this to my pipeline or something else. So I'm going to show you with the card view over here because it's a bit more obvious. So this is where, and again, so I'll show you how this works, and I'll explain you again why we build this like this. So the idea is like, hell yes, I want to work on this. Let's send this to my pipeline. Now you see it's gone from here, and it's gone in this other space here where I'm going to show you in a minute. But then equally, it might be that we don't do this type of houses which are maybe too recent. And then if I go and have a look at the details, it will actually tell me the build date. Okay, between 2000 and 2011. It's really hard for me to convert and add value to this. I can't go in the loft. I'll struggle to do an extension. So it's not really going to work for me. So hell no, no matter the price, I never want to see this again. So I'm going to hide this property. And you see, we take a decision on every lead like this, where hell yes, save to the pipeline, or hell no, So the two extreme is hell yes, save to the pipeline, hell no, never want to see again. And the idea here is, in the same way today, when we go and we scroll through pages and pages of properties on Rightmove, we are having to memorize all of Rightmove, and then tomorrow when we come back, we'll take the same decisions. We'll scroll through pages and pages of the same properties again, and then we go like, I've seen this, already working on it. I've seen this, I don't like it. I've seen, and all this time we spend doing this, it's like proper decision fatigue, and it's not really adding anything. And the reality is, when we see something, it's either we like it or we don't. It's quite simple. So this came back on the market just a couple of days ago. I probably want to be reaching out to them. This came back on the market just yesterday. I probably want to go and speak with them. So hell yes, save to the pipeline. And you see the system will remember like this what you've saved and disregarded, so that tomorrow when new properties become available, you only see the new stuff. And this is really, so like, let me rephrase this, today and every day, basically, with 5 minutes of your time, once you've decided on these on day one, you'll be at the bottom of Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market, prime location, all the property portals out there. You don't need to look anywhere else. And you've seen everything. You've seen everything, and you've decided on everything. You have this exhaustive view on your market area. Everything that ever was for sale. And then this now just takes you a few minutes because you only see the new stuff. right? You only see new properties when they become available, or the properties properties that fall through and come back on the market, etc. So you don't have to search, like this is exhaustive and finite. So this is really the third step over here, where we locate all the leads, and then following up from that, this is where we start to create our pipeline and start to convert all of these good leads into great deals. Just very quickly on the different categories. So I've talked mainly about these where the sales fallen through, it came back on the market, and you'll have you'll get used to see these sexy graphs where you can see very, very quickly what's the story and what's the motivation behind it, and then on and on and on. They all will have some a similar story like this. Oh, and I love when they increase the price as well, because you can always go back to this one. Again, 2 agents involved. This one I did before, etc., etc. And so this is our first port of call are going to be this property where the sales run through, it came back on the market, and it was reduced. They're going to be the most motivated. And once we've worked on these, once we've used our time on the best opportunities in our area, by all means we can go and work on these other ones where the sales run through, but not necessarily been reduced. But then it doesn't really matter. Like we've got this came back on the market today. Let's have a look. There's a couple of agents involved. They had an offer agreed, back in November last year. They'll probably want to do a deal of some sort. So these are your next best, and then we move that to the ones which are reduced but not necessarily fallen through, and then we move to anything that's been on the market since a long time. And then we might want to look at anything that's new. So this just came on the market today. So arguably, and then surely these are going to be the least motivated, of all, because, what the vendors are doing is, it takes them months to decide that they want to sell the house. And then they go on the likes of Zoopla and they ask for evaluation. Anybody thinks that, maybe Zoopla's valuation are a bit toppy, they're a bit high? Well, they are high by design, because these tools are lead magnets to get people to click through, to book appointments with agents that are then going to come and outbid each other to get the business. So these people have just been told by 3 agents how great their house is. They're going to be the least motivated. But we have this category segregated from the rest, because sometimes, and you'll know your area, you've got out of area agents that list a property, and it might be that they don't really know they don't really know what it's worth. So there's sometimes things to be done there, but in the main, our best part of call are those that have been on the market since a long time. They've had the low offers, the low interest. They've gone through the whole cycle, and they are very, very current with the reality of what it is to sell their house, and they want to get rid. They want to do a deal. And then my favorite here are these properties sold subject to contract since a long time. So like your competition right now, they are already scrolling through 3,000 properties, like they go Birmingham, 50-mile radius, sort by price, and then they scroll forever, and it says, Saturday night, bottle of wine, right move, and so they are not taking the thing that says include sold subject to contract, because they're already scrolling through 3,000 properties, and then STC, sold subject to contract, starts with sold, and then so in their mind, they are sold, so why it's already, it's already a big enough of a task, why, clutter myself with all those sold subject to contract properties. But we know that 30 to 40% of sales fall through. So the longer we leave something sold subject to contract for, the more likely it is that they are going to fall through. So on these properties here, there are 51 properties that are sold subject to contract since more than 3 months. I can tell you that 25 to 30 of them are going to fall through, and nobody is speaking to them right now. So some of our members, the only thing they do is go and call all the agents about these properties. And a lot of the time the agents have lost interest, they're not really looking at it. And then you are prompting them to look into it, and you convey some certainty that you really want it. And then when it falls through, they call you. You can't even follow up on these regularly if you want. But as I told you earlier, I believe that it's nice and great to work with agents, but equally you can't work with all agents. Like we've all been to viewings where you've got some kid who used to sell TVs at Curry's the week before, which is now doing the viewing, and it's like, what a waste of everybody's time, And some agents, not to quote any names, but they'll have big turnover of staff, and it's really hard to create a relationship, you know. So this is where, with all of these, you can see here we find the full address of most of these properties. So this is where we go direct to vendor. So you can click a button over here, and this will download the list of all the properties, and then you'll have to forgive my French Excel, which is a bit stupid. Who would have thought, you know? There we go. So it will look like this for you, and this is where you got the list of all the addresses, the area, the postcode, and etc. etc. And this is ready to do some mail merge and push into a service, you know, like Stamp or DocMail or something like that. So, and then this worked really well. So you could write them something that goes like this: congratulations for the sale of your property. We hope that everything goes well. If something were to happen with your buyer, we are desperate to buy properties on your street. We buy properties at market value, you know, and market value is whatever you pay for it. So it's quite a clever hook. We can save you agent fees, and we complete in your timescale. You are in control. Please call this number, blah, blah, blah. So this works really, really well. So if you want to go direct to vendor, any sales fallen through, it works really well. So you can do the same thing, download the list of properties, send to them. All of these where, you know, sole subject to contract since a long time are great. And then we've got the withdrawn. So all of these properties have been, these red properties are properties that have been delisted. And then we segregate the ones that we assume sold and the one that we assume withdrawn. So as a convention, we call sold properties that were sold subject to contract and then delisted. And then we call withdrawn those properties that were available and then delisted. And then, so in there, I've got 10 properties that have been withdrawn. So I might go and speak with, so let's say, so this was withdrawn just 2 days ago. And let's have a look. So this was actually put on the market just for a few days. Oh, and oh, sorry, there was another agent listing, then newly instructed, and then they just, this is no longer on Rightmove or the likes, you know. So, and then we might give a ring to the agent, you know, and they will tell us, oh, well, you know, they don't want to sell anymore. Okay, that's interesting. They don't want to sell anymore with you, you know, and I can see all the history and why not and why is that. You've got the full address. You can go knock on the door. You can send them letters, and all of this works really well. So same thing. You can take all of these letters, you know, send them, and we provide the template if you like, or even better than that, if you're not quite sure what to write them. So I'll just go into one as an example. You're gonna need a really cool integration with ChatGPT over here, where you could go and say, right, can you send them a letter for, can you design for me a direct to vendor campaign of 4 letters, you know, covering this situation where they had their sale fall through. So what this does is now we've got, we've professionally engineered some prompts with some prompt engineers that with a marketing background, and we'll go and create lead magnets letter copy. So you'll see they are really short, really snappy little letters that convey certainty, that make the vendor curious, and they are lead magnets. You know, they will want to reach out to you. You know, they are not trying to sell. You know, or what we'll do is we'll agree a price now, but I'll really see, you know, like 2-sided sales letters don't work. I'm a stupid landlord. I get these HMO landlord letters all the time, and then, you know, I'm some dumb French landlord. I'm scared of what I don't understand. You know, like, yeah, it's too complicated. So, but then here is someone that speaks exactly to the problem and the pain I've got right now, tells me exactly, you know, convey some certainty, and I want to give them a ring. And the letters, they are not here to sell and get people to say yes. The letters are here for you to get the landlord details or the vendor details, so that they message you or they email you, and then the conversation then moves on to WhatsApp or on email or something like that. So we've got letter 1, letter 2 to be sent in 2 weeks, letter 3 to be sent in 4 weeks, letter 4 to be sent in 8 weeks. And then if you look at these, basically these top 3 categories, so anything that's fallen through, sole subject to contract since a long time, or the withdrawn, we get people get 40% response rate on these letters, and they speak to people who want to do a deal, you know. So this works really, really well. So that's all I can sort of say with like the one, you know, if I go back to this one, you know, looking at really drilling down into this system here, how do we engage with motivated sellers, and sharing with you the 3 first steps here of the of the filter fortune flywheel, which is all about finding the motivated sellers. And then as your property moves to the pipeline, so very quickly, basically every step of the pipeline is an action to take. And this is where you can do your due diligence. So this is where you can stack your deals. There are deal calculators for every strategy. If you want to BRR it, buy to let, buy to SA, lease options, you can pull some templates, and then you can compare one exit with another. So these are just sort of random numbers in there, so that you don't start with a blank sheet. What's going to be your GDV, your room rates, and what's going to happen in the other side. And then it gives you this is the ROI you will get after you refinance. This is the so in this case we're putting all the money out. This is going to be the cash flow every month, etc., etc. And you can compare this with a flip, this with a rent to, buy to SA, buy to HMO, and you'll have different exits you can look at. We can look at things like, very quickly, comparables. So this opens a little comparable module that goes around and look at within, a quarter of a mile, whatever you want it to be, all the other properties for sale at the moment, all the other properties sold subject to contract, all the ones that have been recently withdrawn, all the way to the ones that are, completed on land registry, etc. And you've got some pretty, detailed filters if you want to really filter down to the properties that are actually going to be the comparables to yours. And so yeah, lots of things, lease lengths. If it's owned by a company, you'll have a link to company's house. I talked about the article for ARIA, lots of things. And because that's a lot of things, and I realized I had to whiz through this, I want to share with you also this success base here. So not only are we building this really cool software, and we're adding a lot to it, we are building the community of the most active people in the industry. So everybody who is doing deals is on Property Filter. So there's a really cool community, and we are very big on community events and support. And this is why we run so every week on the Tuesday evening and the Thursday evening. So you've got access to some really cool Find My Next Deal Q&A call. So this is where you can ask all your questions, like in the details. How do I set up my criteria, etc., etc. And then on the Wednesdays and the Thursday, so when you become a member, so this is after the trial period, basically, I do more advanced calls, and then we have guest speakers on the Thursday as well. So, and there's plenty of things. So there's a whole Property Filter Academy over here with all sorts of wrong one, sorry, over here, where with a get started video with telling you, showing you everything, how to get started. Then you've got knowledge base for every strategy and lots of articles and resources, plenty of tutorial videos, and then we've got some really cool members resources with some of the really cool guests, we've had, since we've been running these, So whatever is your question, so there'll be, if you want to learn about negotiation, there's going to be a call about it. If you want to learn how to raise your profile, there's going to be some resources about it. Mindset questions, lease options, some really, really, unique and really cool resources here. So not only will you know exactly how to use Property Filter from the get-go, but you get access to some really cool, really cool resources. We've got a live chat that's basically 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. So any questions you have on the software, you can go in here, ask the team, and they come back to you within like 3 minutes or something like that. So they are pretty cool and on it. So that's for what I wanted to share with you with Property Filter. So if you remember, we find the full address of most properties. So I know because I've been there, you guys might have built a whole skill or a whole team, of dropping the yellow Google man on Google Street View and figuring out the full address based on the bin numbers, the doorbell numbers. We've all been there. So I'm really sorry. We're going to take this pleasure away from you because we find most of the full address. And then from the full address, we find, all the due diligence is then downstream here. The EPC register is all built in. You get all the information from there. You'll find is really in a second, the whole, this, you learn to read this and to see motivation, and like these people have bought this property at the peak of the market in 2007. at 130. They've had the property on the market for 2 years and they are now struggling to sell at a loss. Could they be motivated? And this is where people do lease options and creative strategies, etc. I told you about the multiple agents. So not like unlike Rightmove where you get 1 page per agent listing, this will give you 1 page per property address, and we layer the agent listings on top of it, so the full story. And then I talked about the properties for sale as well as to rent, so people do quite well with lease options with these. Oh yeah, you can search properties by yield. You can see how much below market value or below comparable asking price they are. Lease lengths you'll have a direct link to company's house. So when a property is owned by a company, you go straight to company's house, and you can basically write to them directly, and you'll see also all the other properties they might own. And I showed you the ChatGPT integration to write the letters. So just to share with you something that is actually going to come out in the next few weeks. We are testing now, which we've built. It's finished, and we are just testing. And so it might be by the time this is launched on the wider LNPG members, you get already full access of this. So everything I showed you about generating the copy for the letters over here and pulling the spreadsheet over there of the full address, this is now being built. This is all built in Property Filter. So you'll be able to bulk add all those properties where the sales falling through, program your campaign, click a button, send all the letters, and then 2 weeks later it will send the follow-up, etc., etc. So really, really excited about this. So really the question is, how many deals, could you do this year now that you've got Property Filter? So very briefly, I want to share some of the specifics, some of what our members have been up to. So Toby has done 31 deals in the first 10 months of working on the platform. We've got Justin over here pretty much doing 1 deal a month using Property Filter. And it works whatever your strategy. So if you are into commercial to resi, Dino's done 3 commercial to resi conversions, pulling all his money out in the first 6 months of using the platform. I've got Phil here, which is in North Manchester. He's done 17 HMO conversions last year. Or if any one of you thinks that they don't have time, they don't have time to be successful in property, they don't have time to achieve the things they set out to do in property. Emad lives in Birmingham. He works in Manchester. He runs a very busy hotel with 80 staff. He's the general manager, and he invests in Rotherham, and he's done 26 deals last year. So this is really the kind of things we get. So look. I'd love for you to be the Emad. I'd love for you to be the Phil, the Charlotte, and I want to work with you. And the truth is, there's no contracts, there's no, we don't tie in people in anything. And the idea is that the quicker we get you to your first deal, the quicker you want your second one, and we work with you to get, to help you be successful. And then it's win-win, because the longer you stay with us, the more deal you find, the more you stay with us. And I speak at a lot of events, and it's funny because we've been around for a few years now, and people can be stuck in their ways sometimes. So they'll say, oh, well, I've built my own system, I've got my VAs, etc. And then 6 months later, a year later, we meet again, and we go, oh, they see my presentation again, and they go like, how is that going? And then they wish they've shifted to the proven methodology earlier. So as I said earlier, I've got nothing to really to sell you. I want to offer you a 14-day trial, so you get to play with the software. So it's really, really straightforward. There's no cost to you. It's easy to cancel anytime. There's no problem, and you get unrestricted access of all the products, so all the software. And if anything, just start the trial, play with the things, pull all the database if you want, pull all the addresses of these properties in your area, but at least let me show you the power of the software so that you're on the right side of these property opportunities. And then after that, we have one product, which is £99 a month. So there's one unlimited product. There's no usage limit. You can do as much as you want, which is quite unique. And the truth is, this is because we are still early on in our stage of building this, and I want to give everyone access to the full software. And then in a few months, we'll be looking at increasing the price and breaking things down into different tiers. But the deal is for anybody who is with us, sign up right now and stays with us. Basically, we never put your price up, so you'll have a grandfather's right, etc. So it's really cool. And I've only shared with you the bits about identifying motivated sellers, but you get access to all the the whole thing, the whole methodology, the whole deal blueprint, where you can, look at the data if you want, look at all the postcode by postcode data and see how you can shift your focus from one strategy to another, or all things around the deal stackers and the comparables, and then all things with the pipeline. So, and the idea with this is you never miss out on a deal again. You got the whole end-to-end methodology. And then finally, outside the product, there is all the support we give, so you get access to all the tutorial, all the videos with the guests. You get access to a weekly Q&A call with our senior property consultants on a Tuesday and a Thursday evening. We've got a really active Facebook group where people are actually doing deals. And then, so there's lots of resources just in there in the power of the community. And then as you become a member, you get access to me on the Wednesday momentum calls we run, and priority access to the deal finder corners, which is limited to 100 people for the first days. And in the meantime, any question, we've got a really cool chat, a really cool active chat. So, and because this is an NPG and I have to do a deal, so the idea is that we're gonna get an extended 30-day trial. And yeah, I'd love for you to take on this offer, so that you get to play with it for longer than everybody else, and you get the most of it. And who knows, you'll find your next deal during your trial period. If all things goes well. So I think
Very glad that popped up, Graham, because I was just now texting Laura saying, "What on earth is he doing offering a 14-day free trial? I'm sure we've got a 30-day." I was worrying.
You were gonna sack me.
I was thinking, what on earth is he talking about? She said it's coming up. It's coming up. So no, brilliant. I really appreciate your time there. I know we've flown through an awful lot, and I feel like we've probably only touched the surface of a few different things. I know we've not got a huge amount of time, but we've got a couple of questions.
Yep.
One thing I would really like to look at, I don't think you're going to have time now, is the pipeline itself, because I think you only really touched on that. But could you kind of answer in 30 seconds or so, how does that become a manageable pipeline and not just a dumping ground that people just stick the houses in and then don't look at?
Yeah, look, so if you remember, there's the two environments. So one is your lead generator, which we spent some time, where the properties are coming every day. New properties are added to this. They come based on what's happening in the market. But then this is really our inbox. And now the pipeline is really where we are going to work. So as I push properties into my pipeline, every step of the pipeline is an action to take. And the idea is we move properties along, we take the necessary action to convert all these good leads into great deals. And the idea here is that only like a few percentage of the properties from the inbox, make it to the pipeline. And I've shown you how, we identify the best ones. And then every step of the pipeline is an action to take, So this is where we can do, the first step will be some due diligence. It's really understanding, is this going to be worth my time to go on a viewing? Because the opportunity cost of me looking at a property rather than another one, could mean a deal, So this is where we can go and stack our deal. We can look at things in a bit more details, and we really want to decide here, okay, do we move it forward, So once we've done a due diligence, you would have like a little yes, no, pass, fail, criteria to say, okay, this is worth my time. And from the time I push it to the next stage over here, I've got this little pop-up here, this is where this turns into like a CRM system for your deals. And this is where you might go and say, right, so I might give a ring to the agent, and Sarah, the agent, told me some really interesting information about the property, and we agreed to view this property on whenever that, at 7 p.m. some of the time, etc. And you see, this property is then moving to the next stage, and then we start to see in this tile here, we start to log all our interaction with the property. And you can go as much or as little into the detail with this here, but the idea is that when this property sells to someone else tomorrow, but then comes back on the market in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, you're notified, you see it here, and you're like, I spoke with Sarah, I spoke with Tony, we talk about this, and that. And then immediately you can call people by the names, you can build rapport, and you can do this at scale. So it's really how this sort of works. And then what I did here is schedule a viewing, created an event in my calendar, which syncs with my own calendar. So that I can get into my car, click on my event on the calendar, and then it drives me to the property. and I'll be able to see on my phone some information about the property, the full address of the property, etc. So it's all integrated in the way I do my day-to-day, you know. So that's kind of how this works, and we'll move it along, and we record that we make an offer, and then we, for example, over here we might say, right, spoke with Tony, the branch manager, and we negotiate about this, and that. And what I did is I sent them an offer via email, you know, and it just logs all of our interaction with the property here in one place. And it might be that they've now not accepted my offer, so no worries. I'll stick it in the follow-up box, and this is where I say, all right, I'll check with them in 3 days, in 3 weeks, or at a specific date. And so whenever this is, so I can go follow up with them next Friday, and then I'll be notified, you know, when these are due a follow up. So sorry, wrong button. Let's go back to the pipeline. Then I've got all my properties in the follow up over here, and then they are sorted by degree of urgency to follow up, you know, as it were. So I've not been really good at tidying up my pipeline on this demo account, but I've got these 3 properties. I'm due to follow up with them. So I've got this one, which is the most urgent one. So I might give them a ring, and then, all right, spoke with, whoever it was, Sophie, again, and they've told me like they are not interested in my offer. No worries. I'll speak with them in 2 weeks. So this property that was on top of the pile over here now will move to the bottom. So if I got that right normally. And then they just have to make their way up the pile, you know, again and again. That's kind of how this works. But the really cool thing about all of this, and I don't know if you ever had the case, but I used to have what I called the horrible property spreadsheet, where I would copy paste Rightmove links, you know, in a spreadsheet or the Trello board, or at some point I was even stupidly paying for a CRM system. And the thing is, you might have it tracked in the CRM system, but you don't know what's happening with the property. So all of this card here, everything here is live with the property. So when I had the spreadsheets, every so often, every few days, I had to open every Rightmove links, and I would, again, you know, confuse activity with progress. And I would lie to myself, you know, every Monday evening after coming back from work, I'll spend half an hour opening every Rightmove link, updating my spreadsheet, telling myself that I've done some good activity, you know, some good work. But you know, by the time it's done, it's already out of date, you know, and I've not progressed anything. And then I started to pay a VA, 200, 300 pounds a month, just to keep the spreadsheet updated. It was always out of date, you know. Anyway, so it doesn't really work. So in contrast, all of this is live with the market. So the price is the price, the status is the status. You know, whatever is happening to any of these properties is updated live. So this turns sole subject to contract today, you know. And there's no one in the Philippines has been updating the spreadsheet in the back end of that, you know. So that's kind of how it works. So, and then you can personalize it. So if you've got a different process where maybe you want to test an offer before you view and things like that, you can change all of that. You know, you can use tags to say, oh, I've sent a letter. I really love this property. This is a property I'm working for another investor, and whatever you want. You've got a little tag system you can add to these, and then you can sort this. You can then become very, very organized, you know. So you could sort the whole pipeline following the same logic of your lead generators over here. So you can follow the same organization here. So you could go, right, sort my pipeline by those lead generators. So I only want to see, I don't know, like whatever the Leeds and Bradford ones. And then you're showing your pipeline for your Leeds and Bradford. You want to sort them by agents. You want to sort them by, whatever tags we've put, you know, so etc., etc. So you can then filter, display things very efficiently. And again, you can see these by you can tell bulk actions to move 10 properties at a time to the next stage. You can display all of them in the different places on the country, etc., etc. So yeah, lots that can be done.
I assume that there's training and there's videos and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So there's video trainings about everything. But again, what's unique about us, because we want to partner with your success, because the quicker you get your first deal, the quicker you want another one. So it's why we invest a lot in actually live calls, you know. So we've run 1,000 hours worth of live calls in our time, and you get access, you know, as a member, you get access to me every week. And then whilst you're on a trial, you get the Tuesday and the Thursday night. And there are really cool, interesting questions. People tend to come back there. So when I talk about the community, people will just make it a habit. Every Tuesday night I'm on the call with the property filter gang. That's what people tend to do too. So
you've segued that brilliantly, and I will say at this point, I was right in saying that it sounds like a bit of a rabbit hole to go down. I'll try and get an answer in a minute, and I didn't think I'd be able to, but I think there's probably a lot more that we could still do. We'd be on here for another 1,000 hours. But we've got some great questions from the audience here. Richard has asked a similar question to what I wrote down earlier on, but he's asked it in a much better way, thankfully, which is, you keep talking about motivated sellers, right? But how do you actually define them? There must be some criteria that the system's using to say this person motivated, this person isn't. What is that criteria?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the root cause of seller motivation, so it's what I call the 4Ds. So there'll be death, debt, divorce, and defect. So now how does this transpire on the platform in terms of symptoms? And this happens when people get more and more motivated, when they have the sale fallen through, it came back on the market, and it was reduced. Maybe it's listed with multiple agents. Like we've got here a couple of agents involved. When someone moves from one agent to another, because they are fed up about something, and when they are fed up, about selling their property, this is where they start to be motivated. Or when the properties are for sale for less than what they last sold. So all of these things form part of the criteria, where we are focusing on the sort of sales history and the circumstance of the old transaction and the experience they have had with it. And we know that they'll be more keen to do a deal. And again, the two extreme is someone just put their house on the market after being on Zoopla, they had the high valuation, they click through, and then they get the three agents to come and outbid each other to get their business. So their expectation is right up here. They put it on the market, and then everybody's addicted to their right move alert. So then we get 10 viewings on the first week or the first day, and we're like, oh wow, this house is really worth £1 million, And then of course nobody buys it then. And so then with low offer, low interest, the agent has to say, look, like the market's changed. It's not quite as good as what we told you to get your business a few months ago. We should try to put the price down. And it doesn't matter how much the price is reduced, even if it's 2%, 1%, there's something huge that happens in the mind of the seller at that point, because it's no longer the best house in the world, And remember, they could be really well attached, emotionally with the property. This is where they've got all their festival memories, their kids' birthdays memories. This is the best house in the world, for them. And then they had all these people telling them all of this, But then once the agent breaks this, just to reduce the price a little bit, the old, card, I don't know how you call it in English, the pile of castle card, or just falls down, Castle cards, exactly. And then it becomes a lot more transactional, Once they agreed to reduce the price even a little bit, they've agreed to reduce the price. So it's a really strong indicator that they'll be more inclined and keen to do a deal. And then what happens when they approve an offer? They approve I don't know if some of you watching the recording or on the call today, you might have gone through the experience of selling your house. And if it's your residential house for the first time, when you get your offer accepted and maybe you don't have the experience of doing lots of these transactions, and a lot of these vendors won't, you get an offer accepted, the agent has been really good at selling you on the idea that this is the best buyer ever, and this is where you go to the pub, you tell all your mates, it's a done deal, and in your head you're already spending the money. Now 3 months later, 4 months later, a war in the Middle East later, and then you have to come back on the market, all of this sales fall through, and then you have to come back on the market, and it seems like the buyer market is even stronger when you come back, So it's like you're back at square one, but you're actually behind, because the situation of your perceived situation, because you watch the news, I'm telling you that it's a lot worse off than it used to be, And it's no matter the economic circumstance, everybody will have this nostalgia that it was better before, situation was better before. And so everybody thinks when the sales fall through and come back on the market that they've missed the opportunity to sell the house at the time. So all of these are really, really strong, like psychological thing that plays on the vendor, and they want to do a deal. So if you come and convey certainty, and you are professional, you convey that you'll do a deal, etc. Like the deal is yours. So, and again, it's a numbers game. The deals will be in the follow-ups, and then the best. If you remember the flywheel here, it's the minimum with this is 5 minutes a day to take a decision on every lead, and then one viewing a week. You offer on every viewing, and then you follow up on everything. If every 2 weeks you speak to the offers you've done in the last year, that's 50 properties you're after. Very, very quickly, you make it to the vendor's mind, because you are the only person that is actually following up, religiously every 2-3 weeks. So much so that they think about you in their beds, like you are the only solution because you are the only one that keeps on coming back, So it's very predictable. It's a very predictable way for you to make it to the, the little black book of the agents, and you make it to the, you occupy some headspace with the vendor so that they only think of you as the solution.
You heard it here first, folks. Not property filter is the bona fide strategy to get into your vendor's bed. I know exactly what you mean. I was in that situation very recently, thinking about a couple of properties and the vendors for them. So you're looking at when it's on the market, when it's off the market, when it comes back on. It's smart enough to track whether it's a different estate agent that is come back on and continue with the price and everything else. Now, where are you sourcing this property data from? Is it just Rightmove and the kind of big portals? You mentioned auctions earlier on.
So there's a lot of IP that goes into this, and so basically it's the equivalent of having Rightmove, the Zooplas, the on the market, prime location. Any property portals will go and will match and merge these properties all in one place, and then we cross check this with a huge off-market database of every property in the UK, where we know every address, every square meterage, every EPC, every last sold information, and lots of other attributes we attach to every property. And so this is then any property that comes on and off the market is cross-checked with all of this huge database we have on every UK property, and then this is kind of what is then displayed on the platform.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The EPC especially, because you might end up with different photographs, but you're not going to get a new EPC if it's been 3 months. I'm going to ask some quick fire questions now because I'm aware of time, but there's one that I don't want to be missing. Number one, does it include commercial properties, this system, or is it we've just looked at residential?
So it works in the same way. So we had recently, so Dino's done 3 commercial to resi conversions, putting all his money out. So this is in South Manchester. We got a guy, Mark, he's done he's bought 2 shops. So same principle. You look at, when the sales fall through, they're the first one to call, and then they do a deal. And then in commercial, it works really well because there's a lot less properties. So actually, it's a lot easier to go through all of this. So the guys in commercial, they just max out all of the portals like this, and then which leaves them a lot more time to build a relationship with agents, which is a lot more important in the commercial space. And then they use the properties that come on the market, the commercial properties that have just fallen through, to come to portray themselves really professional with the commercial agents. And the commercial agents, they'll have as many properties on their books that are not online, and they'll then introduce them to their off-market deals. So they use it as a really strong way to go and build rapport and relationship with the agent by really being exhaustive on everything there is and very efficiently. So it works really well. Some of the best deals I've seen on this, I've seen people do on this, were commercial to resi conversions. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Can you access bridging loans and mortgages through the platform?
So we've not integrated the sort of lending products just yet, but it's on the roadmap. So yeah, do watch this space. Yeah.
I had a feeling that you would be saying that. Yeah. I had a feeling that would be on the pipeline somewhere. I'm going to skip past the one that I really want to ask because there are new ones just come in that's hopefully a quicker one. Are you looking at and including repossessed properties?
Yeah, so so they are. So you can go and create a criteria here to go and say show me, so this will be on the keyword, so you can look for things like repossessed. So show me the repossessed properties. So that's one example. So this will work off the keyword, so you can go straight to these. So this will look at things like sold on behalf or of, like corporate sale and things like that. So this works quite well. And then I told you about this big database of property that sit outside, and there's more we want to do on this as well. Yeah.
So 2 more questions.
Yep.
One serious one less serious, but I think maybe actually the more serious of the 2. Rick's asked, is there a comparable section, and does it use land registry data for this? Can this be automated so it shows, for instance, properties 25% below market value?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 2 questions. So yes, so this is the comparable section. So you can see what's available, what's recently been withdrawn, all the way to what's on the land registry. And then you can go and see, like, show me the things in the last 6 months. You have the pound per square foot of everything. You can filter things more up here. You can go down to a quarter of a mile, and there's lots and lots that can be done on that space. All the comparables are here. And then you are absolutely right. So the really cool thing is you can go in your, so when I'm looking at some properties over here, I can go and look at properties that are below the average comparable. So if I look at all these properties, and so we don't call it below market value, but we call it below the average price, because they are below the average asking price. So amongst the 140 properties, I've clicked this button over here that show me anything which is 10% below the average comparable price. And I can filter this further down if I want to go and say, right, show me actually the 20% below the comparable. So in your inbox, you can go straight to the top, the top properties that are going to have the best price. So all of these are 20% below the average comparables in the area. If that makes sense, Andrea. No, I'm not sure. That wasn't Andrea. That was Rick. Yep.
It was, yeah. Well, that looked supremely easy for you. I would have to retrace my steps to do that myself.
Yeah,
but that
sorry. This is why you have the LNPG recording, yeah?
Exactly. I forgot we're recording this. Okay, final question then. And this is going to be one that you are either asked every single time you present, or you've never heard before. It won't be anywhere between these 2.
Right.
Rami said, aren't you taking the fun away from looking for property on Rightmove? The little yellow man, as you mentioned, trawling him through Google Maps, looking at bins, zooming in, seeing if you get the numbers on the door. That's my only criticism.
Yeah. You remember I showed you this here earlier. So it's understanding why are you doing this for, If all of this is a big procrastinating project, like fair enough, and I find myself, spending 18 months really going for it in property, but not really getting the traction. And I was busy, like I was busy to the point where it wasn't fun anymore, and so this is about getting people results, This is how can you today set this up in a few minutes, have a short list of your, the best leads you want to go after, and you're ready to go and view the best, deals that have got the most potential to, to convert, in really good deals. Now, if I know, and the prime, and I have to do a lot of education about this, in the weekly calls I run, because people have really used and become used to the time and the scrolling, and then it, the way Rightmove works, when a product is free, you are the product, and Rightmove is built to reward our dopamine system, so that it's like a social media. We go on it, we see random results, and it rewards us for going back and etc. It's built so that we create a lot of footfall on the platform, a lot of traffic, so that they can sell the analytics of this traffic to the agents. The agents pay like something like $2,500 per month to Rightmove for the privilege of listing properties. And we are the product, because they built it so that it's addictive, and we go back on it and we go back on it, and we are not efficient on it, so that they can sell to the agents like, look, in the last 30 days, you've had 1,282 unique connections, and each session lasted an average of 26 minutes. This is literally what they say when they go after. So I am personally in property for the rental income and for growing wealth and for all the lifestyle benefits that it gives me. And I've grown, and it's quite, finding deals is the key to everything, but it's also, it can become a trap if you get blocked into like right moves, the habits we build around it, and a lot of it is like procrastination loops and things like that. So I'm in it for the deals, but I'm not in it to personally to go and spend a lot of time on the portals. That's not really who it's for. Like so.
Mentioned at the beginning that a lot of people spend their time bottle of wine, right move, Saturday night. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but you're advocating free up your Saturday nights instead. And actually, although right move is fun, go out, get a life. That's the property filter way.
No, man, and again, I've been there, and then to a point where it wasn't fun anymore, So and I get it, I've had a lot of I like this, like flea market kind of spirit where you want to, like create this thing. But the problem is that it's competitive out there, So people are going to be faster to get the deals, and those people have got the right tools.
There's a lot of emotional peaks and troughs in this industry, isn't there? Look, I know we've got a couple more questions. So my only question to you now, Guillaume, is where can we send these after this to get them answered? I don't want to spend another half an hour going back and forth on these, but
yeah, it's a really good point. So any questions you have, so you can, from the from property filter over here, you can go and open the chat here, and you can go in the messages over here, and then chat with us, and then you speak with the team, and then they just clock off 15 minutes ago, but basically 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. they come back to you very, very quickly. So, and they are really pretty ace, to be fair. So.
Brilliant. For those questions that have already been asked tonight, we'll send them over to Property Filter and get them answered for you all the same. But thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. It's been a lot. It's been very in-depth. But yeah, certainly an exciting new way of kind of taking advantage. I think just going back to Rami's point earlier on, while these systems are kind of changing the industry, they're not going to change the industry forever. At a certain point, you can have so many people on it that you lose that competitive advantage against everyone else.
Anthony, it's a bit like, many years ago, we used to we would look at properties on newspapers and magazines, or we'll have to go in person to look at the the agent windows, And then a few people started to look online on some tools like Rightmove, And then all of a sudden they didn't have to do all this passing around, they could do all of this from their desk, the comfort of their desk, And the truth is, fast forward a few years now, right? You would not look on Rightmove,
It's a waste of time. Yeah. It's a waste of time going to an estate agent's window.
And now I think this is the new baseline. It's like you would not, if you're looking for deals to invest, you would not use Property Filter, because looking on Rightmove is the same as waiting for the newspaper to come to see what properties were available on the back, or turning up at the other side of town to see what they had on the shop windows. So I think it's the next step change.
Yeah. So my point is, right now it's a competitive advantage, and right now you're going to get the most value for it because fewer people are using it. So you're getting further ahead in the market. So we've putting this live. We're launching this in, I think, a week or two, but the website's now live to get your extended 30-day free trial, as Guillaume has said. Any other questions, we'll send over to them. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Guillaume, for taking us through and taking your time and
thank you both of you. Yeah, thank you both of you for organizing. Thank you everybody for the amazing questions, and it's really a pleasure and privilege to be working with LNPG and giving value to your members, and also working with you to I've been a member, as I said, since many years, so I can only pledge for the service. So
you're preaching to the converted, but I appreciate it all the same. We will be back next month. The partner is TBC right now, so I'm not going to say anything just in case it does change last minute. But you'll be seeing a lot more of me, a lot more of Laura. Thank you for your time tonight and have a great evening, everyone. See you later.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.